Welcome to Penny Pilot. If you are looking for a grounded, practical approach to building true financial freedom without all that loud, flashy noise, well, you are in exactly the right place. As we get into the middle years of our lives, we aren't really looking for trendy fads or empty promises anymore, right? We want real stability. We want peace of mind. We want strategies that actually work for everyday people. So today's explainer is a fascinating deep dive into a completely different way of thinking about money.
So, let me ask you this. If you had $650 million, would you tell anyone? It is a serious question. Before we uncover the answer to that, please take a quick second to like this explainer, share it with a friend, and subscribe to the Penny Pilot channel. It really helps us bring more of this exact kind of content directly to you. Now, to help us unpack this incredible story, we are joined by a very special guest. I will let him introduce himself.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is financial analysis expert Julian Hayes, and I am absolutely thrilled to be here on Penny Pilot to walk you through the remarkable mechanics of what we call stealth wealth.
Awesome. Let's dive right into Section 1, The Secret Everyday Millionaire. Let's look at exactly how this incredible journey starts.
I want you to picture an everyday person standing in the plumbing aisle of a local hardware store. They are wearing a fleece jacket they bought on sale, trying to decide on a half-inch plumbing fitting. To absolutely anyone walking by, they are completely ordinary. So, how does an ordinary person build a massive fortune? Well, it did not start with a giant inheritance or some complex tech business plan. It started on a regular Tuesday afternoon. Our quiet millionaire was just leaving work, waiting for the parking garage elevator, and noticed the hospital vending machine was totally out of water and the one right next to it was jammed. Now, instead of getting annoyed like most of us would, they got curious. They went home, spent exactly 40 minutes doing some basic research, and tracked down the owner. Shortly after that, they purchased their own used, slightly beat-up vending machine for $900 and placed it in a mid-sized dental office with just a simple handshake agreement.
You know, the result of that very first month is really fascinating. After paying restocking fees, the location cut, and the product costs, the net profit was exactly $190. Just $190. Honestly, a coworker probably made way more than that doing a single overtime shift. But the money itself was never the main point. The point was that the system actually worked. It generated cash whether the owner was physically standing there or not. It proved that the underlying architecture of passive income was entirely real.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 2, The Power of Boring Businesses. Let's see how that single vending machine was really just the spark.
Right, so over the years, that $190 success slowly snowballed into a massive, highly calculated portfolio of deliberately boring businesses. The assets in this portfolio are completely unglamorous. We are talking about coin laundromats, municipal parking lots bought at county tax auctions, land leased for highway billboards on state routes, and even a commercial cleaning company. I mean, these businesses will literally never make the front page of a technology magazine. They have no big mission statement, no flashy logo, and zero pitch decks. But what they do have is absolute reliability. They simply solve basic, everyday human problems that never, ever go away.
Just take a look at the cash flow generated by these everyday needs. 4 coin laundromats located in working-class neighborhoods generate roughly $110,000 in net income. Why? Because people are always going to need to wash their clothes. 2 municipal parking lots bring in $58,000 net. Again, people always need to park. These businesses do not care if the stock market drops by 18% in a single quarter. The underlying need simply does not disappear during a recession, and there is no digital application that is ever going to disrupt a physical parking lot. It is just pure, steady cash flow. And that perfectly illustrates the entire philosophy. The Millionaire's accountant, a woman named Karen who has seen decades of chaotic business records, handed back a summary folder one day and literally said, "This is the most deliberately uninteresting portfolio I have ever seen." Now, while Karen might have meant it as a mild criticism of the lack of rapid growth or flashy tech investments, the millionaire took it as the ultimate compliment. Because deliberately uninteresting means it is stable, it is secure, and it is entirely stress-free. Let's move to Section 3, Ordinary Life as Your Armor. This brings us to a really crucial turning point about exactly how this money is protected.
Exactly. Let's compare performative wealth with stealth wealth. Imagine you are at a networking event. On one side, you have a flashy networker wearing a plain white t-shirt that somehow cost $340. He is driving a matte gray custom car, and he is constantly talking loudly about his portfolio. He is performing, and that performance is both exhausting and incredibly expensive. On the other side, our silent millionaire drove to that exact same event in a 2019 Honda Pilot with 91,000 miles on it and a cracked rear bumper. He is wearing a sail rack fleece. When people underestimate him, they naturally stop watching him. And when they stop watching, he's completely free to do whatever he wants.
And that defines stealth wealth perfectly. It is not about false modesty or feeling guilty about your success. No, it is a highly strategic choice. Using an ordinary life as armor protects your assets, it protects your peace of mind, and most importantly, it protects your relationships from the heavy costs of visibility. Living a quiet life keeps you completely off the radar.
The practical math behind this armor is seriously powerful. Today, the average monthly payment on a new vehicle is around $735. By choosing to drive a reliable, older vehicle that was paid for in cash years ago, you avoid that payment entirely. Every single dollar that is not spent on a flashy $735 monthly car payment goes straight into assets that build real, compounding wealth over time. As you can see, it is not complicated math, it is just unpopular math. That brings us to Section 4, the true cost of visibility. Let's explore exactly what happens when people can actually see how much money you have. Visibility is incredibly expensive in ways that honestly have absolutely nothing to do with money. The very moment people know what you have, they begin relating to your wallet instead of relating to you. Normal conversations suddenly shift. Uncomfortable requests for money start to appear out of nowhere. A distant cousin you have not spoken to in 4 solid years suddenly calls to catch up. A brother-in-law wants seed capital for his new real estate pitch. You unintentionally become a walking target, and that visible wealth completely changes the temperature of every single room you walk into. This dynamic becomes heartbreakingly real when it involves close relationships. The millionaire has a best friend named Marcus, a friend who is there through absolutely everything, including family funerals. Well, Marcus called one Wednesday wanting to expand his successful food truck business into a physical location. The numbers made sense, but Marcus needed $85,000. For our stealth millionaire, simply giving away $85,000 was the equivalent of about 11 days of passive cash flow. It literally would have been effortless. But handing over that cash was not the right answer. You know, Julian is absolutely right here. Money just handed to someone who is not structurally ready for it often just accelerates their underlying operational problems. So instead of just writing a blank check, the millionaire took a much more practical approach. Over 4 consecutive Saturdays, they sat together at Marcus's kitchen table. Step 1, they reviewed all the numbers together. Step 2, they identified unnecessary costs that were quietly bleeding the business. And Step 3, they worked together to find appropriate local business loans. And the result of those 4 Saturdays was just beautiful. Marcus proudly secured a small business administration loan for $60,000, along with a city grant. He signed the lease without needing a single dime of outside capital from his friend. True help meant letting Marcus completely own his success. Handing him the money would have totally robbed him of that pride. It was a heavy, silent burden for the millionaire to carry, but it preserved their longtime friendship and built Marcus's business the right way.
Now on to Section 5, reaching the summit quietly. After 11 years of quiet, steady decisions, a monumental milestone is finally reached. Just imagine this scene. It is Thursday at exactly 7:12 in the morning. Our millionaire is standing in the plumbing aisle of a hardware store, holding a bottle of drain cleaner to go fix a slow sink at one of their laundromats. There is a reversing forklift constantly beeping in the background and the harsh glow of those bright fluorescent lights overhead. And in that profoundly unglamorous setting, an email chimes on their phone. The subject line simply reads, Q2 Portfolio Summary.
So the individual opens the email and reads the summary line. The total verified net worth, which includes all real property, business equity, liquid holdings, and portfolio assets, has just crossed $650 million. $650 million. There is no champagne popping, there is no wild applause, there is just a man in a gray fleece 2 feet away, carefully comparing prices on copper fittings. Nobody in the entire store has any idea.
And the response to this life-altering sum of money? It is just a simple 3-word reply sent right back to Karen the accountant. Thanks, looks right. That tiny response perfectly illustrates how stealth wealth truly preserves your peace of mind. The number in the bank account changed, but the reality of a quiet, unbothered life remained wonderfully unchanged. Sitting out in the car in the hardware store parking lot, the feeling of hitting $650 million was exactly the same feeling they had 11 years ago when that very first vending machine netted $190. The deep satisfaction was never really about the final number. It was always about the architecture, It was the quiet pride of building a system that solves everyday problems and generates cash flawlessly, completely outside the view of the public eye.
To summarize our explainer today, the core lessons of stealth wealth are really quite clear. First, performative wealth is an exhausting and highly expensive trap. Second, boring everyday businesses offer incredibly reliable cash flow that weathers basically any storm. Third, embracing an ordinary life acts as your personal armor, protecting both your assets and your relationships. And ultimately, true wealth is a quiet architecture, not a loud performance.
What an absolutely incredible perspective on financial independence. It leaves us with one profound question to reflect on for our own lives. What are you actually building? And for whom? Are you building a performance for total strangers or an architecture for your own peace of mind? Thank you so much for joining us on Penny Pilot today, and a huge thank you to financial analysis expert Julian Hayes for sharing these amazing insights. If you found this explainer valuable, please remember to like this explainer, share it with someone who might benefit, and subscribe to the Penny Pilot channel for more grounded financial wisdom. We will see you next time.